Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So yeah, in this video I'm going to be talking about 10 first time watches for me for the month of June 2023. So yeah, that being said, these are just 10 movies that I've watched for the first time this month. I've never seen them before. Some of these I've never even heard of. But yeah, did a bit of research into the movies and wanted to check these out. So yeah, the first one I watched was a movie with Kirsten Dunst, and that is called Devil's Arithmetic. Really hard-hitting movie. This one, despite its age rating being a 12. Really enjoyed it. It was kind of sort of followed Kirsten Dunst, who was... It's kind of set in the modern day. She plays this Jewish girl, and her family and her relatives, particularly her older relatives, kind of sort of feel that she takes life a bit for granted. And she's kind of sort of faints and then wakes up, and she wakes up in pretty much just as the Second World War is kicking off. And obviously, with her being Jewish, she ends up being put into a concentration camp, and kind of finding out what the Jewish people went through, which was just absolutely harrowing and unforgivable stuff. It's kind of very much sits in the same vein as Schindler's List. This movie, it's nowhere near as good as Schindler's List, but it's a really interesting watch. And I just thought it was a really brilliant, underrated film with a great cast to it as well. Brittany Murphy's also in this. It's really well executed movie, and I just enjoyed it. It's completely worth checking out. So yeah, that is Devil's Arithmetic. Next up, I watched a bit more of a lighter tone movie with James Belushi and Charles Grodin, and that is Taking Care of Business. I think this movie is also called Filofax. Yeah, it's a great movie, really fun. James Belushi is kind of like this prisoner who wants to just have a day out and enjoy, I think, the World Series final, I think it is. And the prison guard warden won't let him. So he ends up breaking out anyway and comes across Charles Grodin's Filofax, who's like this really successful businessman. And he sort of ends up taking on his persona. It's a little bit like Trading Places. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Really fun stuff. You know, the two people who trade places and swap lives. It's that kind of movie. And yeah, just really enjoyed it and had a lot of fun with it. So yeah, that is Taking Care of Business. Next up was a kind of this 80s zombie movie that I'd heard of on the In Search of Darkness Part 3 documentary, and wanted to check this one out, and I had a blast with it. That is Mutant. Really cool effects in this movie for the time it was made. Really love how the zombies look in this film. They actually look quite scary, to be honest, but it's silly, it's over the top, it's cheesy, it's everything you'd expect it to be. But yeah, just this really fun zombie movie. Just over the top antics in it. Really enjoyed it, and just yeah, thought it was a lot of fun. So yeah, that is Mutant. Next up, I've picked up this Wes Craven movie, and I've heard that this movie was absolutely terrible before going in to watch it. Went through production hell. I think it was one of the movies that went through one of the worst productions ever. And that is Wes Craven's Cursed with Christina Ricci, and I think Jesse Eisenberg's in this as well. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it, despite its flaws. Yeah, I can't say much more than that. I'd heard terrible things. I knew about it and avoided it, but went into it with low expectations, and I had fun. I enjoyed it. It's going to be one I'm going to revisit, I think, most Halloweens, to be honest. I just really had a blast with this film and really enjoyed it. Really cool werewolf movie, in my opinion. But yeah, that is Cursed. Next up, I'm gonna give a big shout out to JT at the movies, because I think he talked about this movie quite recently in a couple of his videos, and saw this movie out, watched it. It was great. Return to Paradise with Vince Vaughn and Joaquin Phoenix. Really, really cool premise to this one. They're kind of like these amateur drug dealers, and one of them gets caught, one of them doesn't. One of them comes back to America, and I think his lawyer pretty much says to him, "You're gonna have to go back and do time in prison. Your friend's currently serving 6 years for dealing or trafficking drugs. But if you go back, you only have to serve 3 years, and he has to serve 3 years as well. But if you don't, he has to do the full 6 years. So it's a bit of a dilemma for Vince Vaughn's character, but I really enjoyed this. The ending to it, Joaquin Phoenix was just brilliant. In the movie's final act, it was great. Really, really awesome, underrated film. So if you've not seen this, check it out. And a big thank you to JT for recommending this one. So yeah, that is Return to Paradise. Next movie I picked up was, I had fun with this movie. It wasn't great by any means, but I did enjoy it. And that is Comic Book Villains. The premise to this one is, it's really, really fun premise, to be honest. It kind of follows these two rival comic book stores, and they know in the neighborhood that there's a woman whose son has moved away, and there's rumors going around that he's left behind a massive, pristine collection of comic books, some of the rarest comic books ever. And the two rival comic book stores find out that the rumors are true, and they end up trying to just outdo each other, outplay each other, outwit each other to try and get hold of these comic books. And the woman who owns them, who is in the comic books are in her possession, she will just refuse to budge, no matter how much money they offer. She will just not sell them. But these collectors are just like hell bent on getting their hands on them. It's a really, really fun film. It's not perfect, but the cast in it is just an absolute delight, and it was just a fun film. I just really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, that is Comic Book Villains. Next up, I watched a movie from the mid-2000s with Evan Rachel Wood, Ron Livingston and James Woods, and that is Pretty Persuasion. This was just a really fun high school movie. Kind of reminded me of Heathers a little bit, but it had this really raunchiness to it, some really steamy scenes in it, and yeah, I had fun with this film. It was just a really, really enjoyable delight. Some of the language in this is really near the knuckle as well. But yeah, this movie was just an absolute pleasure to sit through. It was just a joy. Just really, really dark humour to this as well. James Woods is hysterical in this film. But yeah, it was really, really fun to watch. I just loved it, every second of it. So yeah, that is Pretty Persuasion. Next up, I watched a mid-90s sci-fi movie with Stephen Dorff, Dennis Hopper, and Charles Dance as the villain. Really enjoyed this one, and that is Space Truckers. Really, really silly movie, really silly concept, but I enjoyed the practical effects in this one. It really, really took me back to the 90s. Really enjoyed it. You've also got Vernon Wells in here as well, playing again a kind of similar character to the one he played in Mad Max 2, Wes, and Weird Science. Really, really just fun to see him in this movie. I love him in Commando as well. But yeah, this was just a lot of fun. Really, really enjoyed this one. So yeah, that is Space Truckers. The next one, and ninth movie in this little collection, was a movie with Uma Thurman and Juliette Lewis, and that is Hysterical Blindness. Really, really good acting in this one. The movie wasn't perfect again, but I enjoyed it. It stars, obviously, Juliette Lewis and Uma Thurman play these two friends who want to just go to bars and meet guys. And they go to this bar, and Juliette Lewis has been eyeing up this guy for a while. He's been spotted there by her, and what ends up happening is he ends up kind of sort of taking a liking to Uma Thurman's character, and you can kind of see from me explaining it where this movie's gonna go. And yeah, it goes down there. I just really enjoyed it for the performances. I thought it was great. A little bit predictable, but really enjoyable film. And it kind of went under the radar a little bit. I'd never heard of it before, and yeah, just really enjoyed this one. So yeah, that is Hysterical Blindness. And the last movie I watched this month that I've chosen is a movie recommended to me by Mike over at Cinema X-Man, my good friend. He recommended this movie to me. The cast in this movie was just absolutely phenomenal. And that is Interstate 60. So yeah, you've got James Marsden, Amy Smart, Gary Oldman, Chris Cooper. You've also got Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd in this movie as well. So a little bit of a mini Back to the Future reunion there, but unfortunately they don't have any scenes together. But yeah, this was just a really fun road trip movie. Over the top, really silly, really fun sequences in this one as well. There's one I really enjoyed that took place at a diner where this guy pretty much orders everything off the menu, and he has bets with people. Just say that he can't bet with him that he can't finish the food. But other than that, I'm not going to go into any other details because it's worth checking out. And really had fun with this one. So yeah, that is Interstate 60. So yeah, guys, those are my 10 first-time watches for the month of June 2023. I recommend all 10 of those movies. I found something in each and every one of them I really enjoyed. So yeah, just recommending them to you guys, and hope you eventually end up checking them out, because I enjoyed them, and I hope you do too if you get around to seeing them. So yeah, that's it for now, guys. Going to leave the video there, and again say thanks very much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.